you were born in Ghana. All this while I had good material, I didn't use it. Hey, I cannot wait to use that against you in the court of my law. In the law. Anyways, thank you. We've started. It's actually live, by the way. We're live on the show. So let me just send the message out to everybody to join us, and I'll be with you. But in the meantime, so how have you been doing?
We do better than we deserve.
I hope you're being gentle.
I hope
you're being gentle, sir.
Táíwò, agbo tó ń fẹ́ sí ilé ìjọsí, ó dàbí ẹni pé wọ́n gbà ẹ́ fún iṣẹ́ yẹn nínú. It looks like you've been hired for that job, maybe moonlight job ẹni.
I hope you are being gentle, sir.
Non-Yorubas are joining in, right?
Say again, ma.
Non-Yoruba speaking people.
Yes. So we have to, Mr. Ghana, please keep it.
Keep it English.
That's it.
He can't tell me.
What do you call it?
When they give birth in Ghana and then you move to Nigeria, something just happens to your DNA and then you're just all over the place. So let's put him in our thoughts and prayers.
Okay.
All right.
It's okay.
Really, thank you for honoring the invitation to come on the show. The moment I had this platform, you were one of the people that I wanted to reach out to. Along the line, when I felt like I was comfortable enough to, I've built enough reputation so I can feel like I'm not wasting your time in a way. So thanks for honoring the invitation.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
We consider it an honor. Thank you.
That was when it would have been needed the most, because then at least I can bear the brunt of your inexperience and clumsiness and all whatnot. I'm going to stop at this.
This is why it's hard to be nice to people. You try to be nice and they take advantage of you. So for those that are tuning in, thank you for stopping by. This is the Sibyl podcast, a podcast about culture and cultural nomads designed for Blacks and nations and those who love them. And I'm your host, Sibyl. In this story, on my podcast, I try to bring people on the show whose story I'm inspired by, or who those have had some magnificent impact on my lives. And today I have this wonderful couple, Mr. and Mrs. Adebo. Actually, Dr. Adebo, actually.
Okay.
I didn't even like to say that, but I will do a little bit of an introduction of them. So I met them in Austin in 2011. They both hail from Nigeria, and they moved to the US in the 80s to pursue advanced degree. I don't know what that did this degree. We're going to talk about his MBA degree because right now he's a full Adisa. We'll talk about that later. But mom went to Michigan State University, where she got her PhD in nutrition, right?
Food science.
Food science, yeah. And she taught college for about 6 years, which, I always forget to, talk about that. And then currently works with the city of Austin in the WEEK program. And they both reside in Austin. They're active members of Glad Tidings Austin and African Christian Fellowship. She hails from Osun State, which is a southwestern state in Nigeria. And Daddy is from Ghana, actually. Let's just call it like it is. He's Ghanaian, tried to masquerade as a Nigerian. But if they were to look for a local government where he falls under, I think they would just say someone in Kogi State. Just ignore that before. Anyway, he studied business admin at the Texas Southern University in Houston. And yeah, they have 4 daughters, 4 lovely daughters who I've all met and I know. And yeah, so everyone join me in welcoming the Adebos to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have my husband here because, they are one of our favorite people. So when I told him, hey, you want to be on the show? I was like, yeah, I will. So anyways.
Just for you guys.
Thank you, Taiwo.
I needed the protection from you, at least for once, Taiwo.
Well, I won't totally be on your side, though. Just so you know.
Don't worry about it. The oppressors gives me enough comfort.
That side that was still a little bit. We always kind of like it depends on what side that is driving on. Anyways, so I think we'll just get started about your immigration pattern to the US. So I know that you came here in the 80s. I was just curious to know, and I know probably Daddy came during the dinosaur era, way, way back when the dinosaurs were still around. Like, what was Nigeria like then? And I used to hear from like older people, like that was when the government would like give you money. The exchange rate was so good. As an international student, you had like a say in things. Like you weren't made to feel like an inferior person coming from a third world country like Nigeria. So can you just help us paint a picture about just what life was like in the 80s and why at that time you decided to come to the US to further your education?
Okay, is it for me or for her?
Yeah, Dad, but Dad, please keep it simple. I should get a timer. Let's start with that so that Mom can get a say.
And you are right. I guess I probably was the last wave of people who came here with that burning desire to finish and go back.
Yeah.
And you said something earlier that is so true. I still remember there was a kiosk, foreign exchange kiosk, right there on Main Street in downtown Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Practically across from the old First City National Bank, or First City Bank, as the case may be. You could go there and exchange naira right there on that main street, and it was a ratio of 2 for 1, $2 for 1 naira.
Wow! So like a bureau exchange.
Yes, and naira was so well respected that you could exchange it right in downtown Houston.
Wow.
And the rest is history because things took a tumble about 5, 6, 7. No, it wasn't even that long. By about 5 years later, things had kind of gone completely downhill.
Wow.
And the whole idea of coming to go to school was because of the wave of graduates that were needed in the workforce. They needed all over the places. And actually, a lot of companies were actively recruiting graduates from here. It's one of the things I saw and also felt that, hey, I think with this, instead of me just sitting down where I'm working and wish for, some promotion, I think it's best for me to just go. I was either going to just continue schooling at home or work and go to school. I looked at all those options, but I realized that the best thing for me was to leave and come back.
Okay.
By the time I think Buhari came into Buhari's regime came, because I think Buhari had overthrown Buhari's first regime, not this time. And I think Buhari, Abacha, and Idi Agon, but I think Buhari had come into. That's when really people got scared. So at that time, nobody would call you and say, "When are you coming back?"
Wow.
It was, some people were saying, well, hurry up, come back. Some people would say, stay. Things are not stable.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Talk about the good old days.
Good old days indeed.
Thank you, sir. I'm much appreciated. Thanks for keeping it short. Mommy, your turn. I'm so proud of you, sir. You get a gold star.
Yeah, like you said, Nigeria was really good at that time. None of us was planning to come and not go back. Mine was really different because I didn't even plan to come to the US. I had finished my master's. I was working at Lagos State College of Education. And then this opportunity came on a gold platter to me. It was like on a February 11th that I got to know of the opportunity. Believe me, by March 25th, I have landed in the US.
Wow.
2 months prior, I didn't know it would happen, but it happened and I'm here. At the time I came, we were only allowed as students to take $500. I mean, $500?
$500
naira with us out of the country, yes. And that exchanged for $753 at the time I came.
You remember the exact number?
Yes, because when I look at the exchange rate now, I just feel like weeping because it's 500 naira to $753 when I came.
Wow.
And 500 naira with us out of the country, yes. And that exchange I'm hearing my echo.
We're hearing there.
Wow.
And of what she said, is it on delay because of is it on delay to the audio?
No. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the comments so I can respond to either one. That sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I forgot to mute it. That was why there's a little bit of. But sorry, go ahead.
And of course, I wanted to go back. When I finished, I wrote my school. I was an exchange student. So I wrote my school that it's time to return. And they told me, no, you don't have to. That there's no binding anything in our contract for me to return. And of course, I said, okay, do you have a job I can come to? They didn't have a job. So.
Wow. You were willing to go back.
Yes. So many of us at that time, and many returned. And now I want to say a good 95% of them are back in the US.
Wow.
Okay, so what happened with your generation? Because, and I'm not trying to not make this political, because I hear a lot about the good old days, which a lot of us that were born in the 80s, we probably didn't get to see that. Like, when you got, the ones that went back home, why do you think they moved back so quickly? Was it when the deterioration started happening in the country?
Okay. Yes. Do you want?
I'll tell you. Sorry.
Okay, I can tell you stories upon stories, but the one that really came to my mind, a very good friend, you probably know them. They went home. I mean, they had promising jobs here, very promising jobs, but that they refused to take. And they went home. They said armed robbers were the reason that they finally decided, no, it's time to go. Because they were attacked 3 times. And the 3rd time, it was so close to call. The wife, they were going to kill the wife. And he had to defend his wife and his children and decided this is it. That's America begging me to come and take a job. And I'm here because I love my country. And I mean, I can't give my life and my family for this. So they returned. I have other friends that went into teaching. They said that they couldn't even afford to furnish their apartments, university lecturers, professors, and there were jobs in America that wanted them. So one by one, they all started leaving.
And this was the good old days, because I see, like, okay, so for example, in our relationship, I wanted to go back as well, but he was always so adamant, like, no, we're not gonna go back. There's nothing to go back to, and I still don't know whether I'm gonna go back. I know he doesn't want to go back, but I'm just thinking, like, if everyone leaves, like, who's gonna make the country better? Is it too much of a pipe dream to think that going back we're gonna help improve the country?
Well, this is what I would say. I want to acknowledge the concern of those who think there is nothing to go back to, and also commend those who want to go back. We have to live life outside ourselves, and that's our own. I want to use the word comfort, but carefully. I have to tread this carefully because, like she just said a minute ago, I know the story of the person she talked about, people that we are very close to. I have other friends. Some went to a case in point, somebody who even went to University of Lagos, exact same scenario. And I took care of some stuff for him when he left, shipping his cars and other things. I took care of that. People were offered jobs here and they just rejected them outrightly. Every one of these stories we're telling are people who had jobs here with all these international conglomerates and could have counted on being transferred and whatever. There were so many opportunities that could come with that. And you have to understand that for most Nigerians, Africans, what we have left for us to make that place a great nation is still more than what we have lost. That's just the irony of life. And I say that again, what we have left to make that place a great nation is more than what we have lost. It's more than what is even living today. And the expertise that are needed, there's so much of it that can come from here. Today, our experience is enormous, is beyond measure. So going back to help matters a lot. Now, but going back in itself may not necessarily be a physical presence there. There are different things that people are doing now to make a difference. And to speak to Taiwo's case, otherwise, I think you are just going to, it's that you are going to cut yourself off from a place that you cannot truly do that. Because that will come to haunt you at a point in time in life. There are going to be moments where you begin to ask yourself, what exactly are you contributing to society? You know, so you are a gift to mankind. What are you doing with it? Where can it be effective? You have peers that you can really work with that will help you to achieve this. Even though you are gone from there, people are still, you connect with people much better because that's your root. Some of your peers, before you know, you become ministers and senators and all kind of stuff. You know, these are people that we should be able to influence to help us get things done. And I know that folks back home don't understand things. They don't have that kind of vision. But we have to keep preaching the sermon. Otherwise, who is going to do it? The younger generation don't feel kinship. So we have to do that and encourage them, both here and over there.
Well, you know, I would say that, you know, I'm not totally ruling out, you know, being involved in one way or the other, though. But at least for now, like, I still have significant connections, you know, with my colleagues back home, and I know what's pretty much going back home. And it's so sad that some of my colleagues, you know, are still looking for opportunities to exit Nigeria at this point. And it's really, really, really sad. You know, I especially in this era of the pandemic, I see things that are going on, you know, back there. You know, there are some things that we're doing right and some things that, you know, is just a joke. Like, for example, I was hearing that, you know, in those states, they give exemption to, you know, churches holding Easter ceremony. And I'm like, really? You know, so you see things like this and you're like, you know.
Actually, I wasn't Kogi State.
I think it was Ondo State. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, it's here too.
No. She
yeah, you know.
No,
but,
he's from Kogi State.
Oh, okay. Oh, got the job. Maybe it was Kogi State.
I think it was Kogi State because Ondo will not do that.
She and I, we always have a way of connecting, so I can pick up her vibes easily. So don't worry.
So Lani, be careful. Some Kogi State.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
They're tilting.
Oh, definitely. There are a lot of people from Kogi that are there. We call them the Kogites.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, yeah, I still have those relationships that we still keep, you know. You never know what's going to happen in the future. I think my class, you know, especially, we have like a WhatsApp group where we keep abreast with things that are going on in the diaspora and also back home, you know, and seeing how we're able to influence things positively. So, I mean, I still have those connections. I don't have to be physically there to effect change. You know,
it's like saying I can't be racist because I have black friends, right? Anyways,
Taiwo, here's something too that I will urge you to keep in perspective. It's always better to light a candle instead of crossing darkness. See, because you know when light comes in, it brings hope. Yeah. It does not matter how bleak things are. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that sometimes, and I think most of us have been guilty of it. When we don't accentuate the positive, there will always be negative. Actually, negatives always seem to outpace the positivity. Let's keep that in mind, because whether we like it or not, things are happening. Here's an example that I always give to people. You get on a plane to travel to any part of our continent, you go to Nigeria, you find a lot of Nigerians there, but you also find a lot of Europeans going, Westerners, people from this country. As a matter of fact, I've met some African Americans that lived there with their children. I'm talking within the last 10 years. I think I met somebody who we went on a mission trip last year, that they actually live there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and that's not mere sentiment. When these people go there and they do business and they're able to succeed, it might be very treacherous, but let's take that level of success and say, if they find gold and diamond or whatever you want to call it over there, and they still want to go, why are you running away from your own treasure. It is hard. Again, like I said, I understand that. You know, when something scares you in the physical, you will react, you will do some things that people go, why? But, it's not all that bad. Because there are people who would rather stay there, but they've developed that thick skin. This is like a child. You look at it, after some time, some of the peers, some of the colleagues you're talking about, they will forget you. It's like if you don't have a presence before a little child, after some time, that child will forget you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think Nigeria and especially Lagos, it's a gold mine. It's where you can go in and literally be a success overnight if you have a very bright idea.
Not just bright idea. You know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Well, and have connections.
To be able to pass the idea, frustration with ideas.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. The people our age are already retired in Nigeria. I personally don't think I will be going in that way to help. So my mission is to touch one life at a time wherever I am. That's what I've resorted to doing.
That's fantastic. Obviously, when they talk about missionaries, there are those on the field, there are those at home praying, there are those sending money. All of us, one way or the other, we are missionaries. So, yeah, I have a comment. 100% agreed. Nigeria is really not that bad. I look forward to my annual trip to Nigeria, and so does my 10-year-old. Yeah, I mean, if you don't live in the country, it feels good to be able to take
different,
dollars and go and spend it. Like I felt like Fatah rolling dollar when we went in, even the $500 that let's say assume $500, it goes a long way. Like, and as the market even crash, like recently, the naira went down so badly that it was like 380 naira to $1. I felt so bad exchanging because I felt like we're adding to the downside of the economy. So it's convenient for us to go, but the harsh realities of life for those that currently live there is something that it just stays with you. Like, wow, that this is actually some things are getting a lot bad than we think. But oh well, it is what it is.
It's not as cheap as people think when you say we're adding to that, because you are there for a short period of time. You look at the load of cash, the money you spend within that short period of time. Okay, you're unloading yourself of cash here. You go over there and you spend it within that. It's so compressed, and you will have spent time to accrue that money for you to have that to spend.
Yeah.
So in a way, to me, I think the notion that we're doing that, it's kind of nebulous, because what exactly are you addressing here? You are living a high impact life over there within a short period of time. There's so much more you would do, either to the extended family, for you to be comfortable. So when you come back, sometimes you're a bit, your pocket is dry some. So in here, you will have managed that same amount of money to live life and don't go dry. So let's not look at it just that way.
Thank you, sir. I have two questions for you, actually from the listeners. One is from Funta Tambe. You and I know her. She said,
"Yeah, it's somebody I sent out on a missionary journey."
Daughter, by the way. What did you guys do specifically to pass your culture down to your daughters with the challenge of raising them away from home? And she also said, "Hi, mom. Hi, daddy. You guys are rocking it."
Oh my. Well, I'll let the smart person here take care of that. Let's see.
Good question, precious daughter. By the way, we miss you. I think for us, there are aspects of our culture that I consider very, very vital. Language is one. The food is another one. Our dressing, the way we dress, is also one. And I think throughout years of raising them, we try to bring those into raising them. And I remember we still joke about it. We have days of the week where we have to eat Nigerian food.
Really?
Like fufu.
Was that Tuesday night?
Wednesday and Saturday.
Oh,
You forgot because the schedule is still the same. So we joke about it that it's on those days that our kids, because it's either you eat it or you go to bed hungry. So it's on those days that they will choose that they are not hungry. Oh, mommy, we are not hungry.
do they like it now? Do they do
But
it now?
one of them in particular that really loved African food at that time, especially okra soup. She will go eat it and shampoo her hair with it. She's also.
We won't mention their name just to save face.
Mommy, I shampoo my hair. I said, oh, she so loves the okra soup. So we tried to raise them on that. There was a period when, oh my goodness, they didn't want to taste it anymore. I think it was probably high school or college, but they later came back to it and now asking for recipes on how to prepare some of these things. So that's one. Yeah. The other one is the language. We try to speak to them in Yoruba. And I know that I'm guilty of that. My husband did a good job of really sticking to it. But I do English and Yoruba most of the time. But to Funto's credit, she really took on the challenge. She's the one that speaks Yoruba the best amongst them. And I remember we'll be driving.
Husband benefits.
We'll be driving to places, of course, mom running errands with the kids. And she would just say, everybody, let's speak Yoruba from here on until we get home. And the others will just hate her for that. They will call her parents, Lisa. Oh, you just want to be good to mommy. You just
the child of a firstborn.
Nothing we speak in Yoruba to her that she doesn't understand, and she speaks it back. The others understand, but they don't respond back. The last one, of course, we have slacked down over the years, and Toby faults us till today that you didn't teach Yoruba. And of course, when we had her, the others were leaving home for school, so there was no way they could speak to her or us speaking to her. So we take that as
with the language part. Do you have, what tips do you have for parents that, you know, because I've heard some of my friends that their teachers tell them, don't teach your children their your mother tongue because it confuses them. But what tips do you have for parents that are currently, that have kids that are able to grasp the language right now so they don't give up?
Yeah. Okay.
That's a fallacy. It's a fallacy. What the teacher don't know is that kids are so gifted. The ability to learn to cram so much is far superior to ours. They're able to teach because kids will go to school, they will pick it up very quickly. We heard the same thing too. And well, you know, my children, they all did well in school. They all went to college and they did well in college. So it never affected them. As a matter of fact, what we have come to understand now is that somebody who is able to learn different languages, it's always very smart ones. Now, I say that too with a little caution. It's the smart ones that have the courage or boldness or the encouragement to actually exercise that gift. You'll be surprised what people can do. These children are very capable of it. And some teachers too, they do that out of, you see, some people become a bit dismissive. Anytime you don't speak, you speak a language other than what they are used to, their own native tongue, which would be the English language, they assume that you are going to struggle with things. This goes beyond the language. Even the schooling of our young ones, I say our children, I use that in more general terms. They always assume that our children will struggle in school. That's on a false premise. They are very capable of doing. There are many children I know that were told that if they take very challenging classes, that they will not do well. It may break them, particularly our boys. And I know some people that they graduated, they were within the top 5, let's say maybe top 3, maybe top 5 of their class right from the beginning through college. Even people that went to places where Going to medical school was highly selective. They would tell you from the beginning, you want to go to medical school in this program, only certain percentage, and typically it's right about between, maybe about right about that 5%. And these are kids that consistently scored and they excelled, they were there, they were to be a force to be reckoned with. They earned the respect of everybody. Teachers had told them previously not to allow them to take these challenging courses. So I say this to everybody listening, please do not buy into this. However, when you do that, that you are encouraging your child, support that child. Don't I say, it's not a Me Too thing. Pay attention, don't force a kid to do that, but be an encourager, they will pick it up. Eventually, they will own these things. Funto that asked one of the questions, when they were little, at a point in time, they didn't like their names. They just thought, why didn't I give them Mary, Michael, or John, and all that? Today, all of them would rather give names that are native to them than just pick up a random name. And I say that respectfully, because when you begin, you see, this is part of your root. You begin to relate to it. As you get older, you have a better sense of appreciation for stuff like this. But oftentimes, we think less of what we have.
And I agree. There are resources online that parents can use that kids will like. I got a book, Introduction to Yoruba for Toby, and there are so many other resources that can be helpful.
And if I may add to this too, Mo.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of people, some people have been doing that now. Some people actually learn from our mistakes, what we didn't do right. And I told them, don't just speak the language to them, encourage them, be interactive. Like my wife said, she was kind of fumbling between English and the Yoruba language, and she had known that would have helped, because there are kids I know now that the parents have learned because of that. They pretend it's like you play deaf, dumb, and blind to them in that wise. When they speak English to you, you speak the language, it forces them to converse with you. We have a young boy here. How old is Arena? He's about, he's 15, and he speaks the language. Exact same thing. When the mom came, we were like, the big sister and the brother to them, to her. And that young man now speaks the language. Now, as he gets older, he's not becoming proud of what he has, inherited or embraced.
Yeah, I like that. And I know when you guys were talking about things you've done to pass down the culture to your children, you mentioned language, you mentioned food, you mentioned dressing. You forgot to mention the names, because their names tell stories, Funke, Funto, Buki, Tosi, and Toby. So that's really good. And Buki had a comment. She was like, I was an innovator in organic shampoo. So I guess she outed herself with the okra hair. On a serious note, as an adult, I do appreciate the emphasis on food, language, and other elements of our culture. Because this is what I see, their skin color, their names, their mannerism. It tells a story of a cultural connection. It's always good for them to at least have an understanding of where they're from, where the parents are from. So they have, another sense of home. They don't want to just get lost, as it were. I had a question for you, sir, from Ma, from Adebola Daramola, and he's asking, what was it like navigating the job market as a fresh graduate out of the US program?
Can you repeat the question?
Repeat the question.
What was it like navigating the job market as a fresh graduate out of a US program? This was way back in the 80s, though, so.
For you, well, here's the thing. Things have changed. For those who are, and I think Ademola is in graduate school.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Ademo. I think that the Ademola I'm suspecting might be the one. I may be wrong.
Mine on Facebook, Adebola Daramola. I'm not, but let's just assume that he's
from UT, I believe. Anyway, you see, the opportunities that you guys have now in graduate school is totally different from our time, because here you are in schools that they have very, very robust career program, and they include international students. So it opens the door differently. Now, you may have companies that may say that they will not give you an interview, grant you an interview because you don't have the necessary papers. You have some that will do that. So you have a whole array of companies to choose from. So you need to target places that will meet your need. And then I think off the air, he can call, because there are other some job situations, and I'll in general, I'll put it under the non-profit. They do more. If they want you and they hire you, they interview you, they already know. The private companies, they have limited visa allocations, so they may use it wisely based on what they are looking for. But I think if you pursue things in a selective way, the door will be open. In our time, we felt that some of us felt we didn't belong. So our expectations were different. It took time before, we actually looked at the job market as we like anybody else. I don't know. Hopefully that answered his question.
Yeah. Oh, along that line, I'm curious to know though. So when I moved here, we moved here 2011, and the big thing then was the big recession that happened 3 years before.
Right.
There was USCIS, they had to open after 9/11. So there's always something, like they were even threatening to cut down funding for grad students.
That's
I can
right.
imagine that this time around, and then Obama happened, and then so some policies that restricted work hours and so many things. There's always something that kind of seems like a deterrent to international students coming to the US. And I think now with Trump's tighter immigration policies on countries, especially for green card conversion, there's always an enemy to face. What was the enemy like for you guys way back in the 80s when you came here as international students? What was that economic, deterrent or policies that seemed like in the way?
Well, there was no. I don't remember right off. And then again, to this side, this is also a very cyclical. When Reagan was in office, there was a recession in the oil industry, so the glut caused a lot of movement. So when people graduated, then they made do with whatever they could find.
Okay.
At that time. Again, too, it has to do with immigration issue. But see, now when you apply for a job, and then the approach is not like where you come from. Back then, that mattered a lot.
Oh, really?
You feel like you're not given a chance. Now it's like they look at your qualification before they now start talking about, do you have papers?
Your name will give you away. If your name is Adebo, it will give you away.
So but you know what is funny? You know what is funny though? People then, I have some friends that when they naturalized, they actually just took both Anglo first and last name.
Oh yeah.
So, yes, but today those things don't matter, because I've gone to some stores. I was at Fry's, Fry's Electronic, and the guy that supervises or who manages that aisle has a very different name. He's from Eastern Nigeria. And when I saw the name up there, as a person who represents that aisle where they need to call, I was like, how in the world can they pronounce this guy's name? Both names were non-English, had none whatsoever. But this is a guy that was hired, went through the hiring process. During our time, we didn't want anybody to know, because it was easier for a supervisor to just shove it somewhere. But today they look at, and I know it's difficult. It just doesn't sound real, but knowing back then what it was and what it is now is different. You have people that had, advanced degrees that were just doing anything menial.
And when I finished, it was still a requirement at that time that by the Labor Department that they have to prove that there's no American that qualifies for that position.
Oh, like a labor certification?
Yes. Yes, that's what I said. It was then too, just as it is now. And they actually had to advertise. I was already hired, but when I asked for them to file for my papers, that was at the college. Yeah. They had to re-advertise the position.
Yeah.
And I had to go through the interview process.
Yeah. Oh, it happened to me 2 years ago when I got my green card as well. And I still want to encourage international students who might be listening to this. If your desire is to stay back here and get a job, don't give up on it. There's always an impediment until somebody gets it done. If that's your desire to be here, study hard, get good grades, make connections, like build your network, send out your resumes to people, get ways to improve yourself and all of that. But don't give up. Don't let like your name, wherever you're from, be like, oh, somebody told you that it's not going to happen. No. If they can do it, if we can do it, you can too. That's what I tried to just say. Keep working hard. It's going to pay off. I have You went to something quickly.
Oh yeah, I was just really shocked that back then during their time, that based on what Mr. Adebo was saying, that you are kind of discriminated against by your name.
There's always been discrimination, even till now.
No, I know there's been discrimination, but now you can't
Do
really
openly.
you can't do it openly. You can't.
It's still there.
And it's interesting how
We're at work now.
Yeah, even right in this era now, immigration policies seem to be about the same.
Yes.
To prove that you're better. There's no other American. And I'm kind of being tempted to go into a little bit of politics.
Let's not do that.
Now.
We have more questions.
But
I think
I know you. I know you're
important we deal with stuff like that, though.
But when we say Trump in this Trump era, saying America first,
Right.
It's always been America first, right? And I say this too, in Nigeria, would you want, a foreigner to just come and take your job if there are other, Nigerians are able to do the same job? Probably not. You wouldn't like that, right? So why are we, against it when,
We're not against. We're just mentioning
when Trump says that, you have to prove that there's no American that can do the job. So it seems like immigration policies are still pretty much the same, but one thing I like about America is the fact that they give opportunities to, I guess,
they try to
smart ones or the best of them all, to add to the quality of the US as a whole, which in a way they are not doing as well as they used to. That's why countries like Canada and other countries are opening up their borders and taking in people. So anyway,
you didn't want to make it political and just exactly made it political.
If I may comment on what you just said, I think we always need to think outside some of this political ping pong and brouhaha going on. The general framework of this immigration has been in existence for many years before we came. Okay, and some of them are still there. There are a little tweaking here and there, but it still hasn't. The thrust of it still exists, and within that framework, people are still being granted visa to change their status from permanent residency to citizenship. So you have to look at it outside this, what's going on. If you do that, you are going to lose sight of what is important. If you have the qualification, you will get opportunity. It may take longer, for one thing. Two, it depends on how you really you strategize. See, in our time when we went to school, at the beginning we said this. Most of us wanted to go back. I still tease my wife. I said, "You have your suitcase packed." Of course, we got married, so the husband and wife joke kind of thing. But that's what the mentality that we had. For us, it was book. We had the grades, we got a degree, and all we wanted to do was to go back and showcase. Whereas out of schooling is networking. What role are you playing in your school community?
Exactly.
Because things will open up for you when people see you and say, they know, everybody knows that all we want in life, we want a chance. They will give you the chance.
Yeah.
You want to get in front of people so I can say, hey, I need a chance like you. The humanness will set in for people to look at you and say, okay, who am I talking to? Can this person do this job? You went through the same thing. At least I'm familiar with you. Same thing. You know how long it took. You know how many tries you had before you had a chance. The whole thing could have been completely bleak.
Yeah.
Some took the chance, even when they were not sure that they could give you that chance.
I agree. And I think that for one thing I always emphasize for especially graduate students that are trying to enter the job market is here's the difference between us and American graduates. We don't have that social network yet. And going to school in the US sometimes is a way to get yourself into that club. About smartness, there's no denying it. For you to have gone through the immigration system, but whatever lies you told the consular officer about what your plan was to the US, writing GRE, writing TOEFL, writing all of those essays and making it here, I think it gives you some merit already as to how smart you are. And then going through a grad program here and having to adjust your educational system. Now, how do you set yourself apart? is to build your network. Find ways to maybe attend conferences, get involved in the alumni network, have your professors, send you, like put you on an email conversation, someone that can open the door for you and pull out a chair for you. That's what you need. And I think that's usually the biggest gap that you find between how people that make it big here, as far as entering the job market, and those that don't make it. Because you can be smart, yes, but if nobody knows you, because it's still going to be a who knows somebody thing. Like my husband getting his residency, despite doing well in his boards, it boiled down to just having to build the right connection and find somebody to just say, please put his name down and invite him for an interview. Now, he had to do his part to ace the interview, but he wouldn't have gotten that spot if somebody didn't speak up for him. It's a sad game, but it's how it's played. And I have a lot of hubris with the system, but as long as that's how they play the game here, you have to find a way to play. If not, you're going to just go to bed hungry. We have a lot of questions that I want to go through. But if you hadn't, did you want to say anything to that before I go to the questions? Oh, okay. All right. So the first one is from Adoni. She said, how has your concept of gender roles in marriage evolved from how you were traditionally raised in Africa, and how did you navigate the changes?
Abimbola.
Abimbola. I agree, Abimbola.
I think that question will be for the lady, right? I don't think that's for me.
You just did a gender role right there. That's why you just played a gender role.
I know who has the question. Well,
excuse you.
This whole issue of gender role, to me, it's more of a matter of the heart, more so than the gender of the individual. You are here, you don't have the support that you had back home. It's easier for you to find help. It was much easier, especially for the men back home, to cede such responsibility to the wife because you can hire somebody, you have relatives that live with you. We don't have all that here. So, and at this point, I think it's time for us to just jettison that idea. If you are consciously doing it because of that, then that is a failure. You need to educate yourself. You are looking at the person that you're living with as a wife.
Yeah,
she needs help. There are some things I learned at the onset, and as a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever verbalized it this way. I wouldn't want to get ready, going to church on Sunday morning, and I'm like, I'm ready. And then I'm jingling my key, telling my wife, well, you better hurry up. It doesn't make sense. But you see, I took it upon myself to do some things. Another thing is that for us men, please, if you don't want to get into too much squabble, don't wait to be assigned responsibilities.
Hallelujah!
Because if you do that, you are giving room for your wife may lash at you out of frustration, and normally we don't like it. So be helpful. Let her recognize, be lousy, and I will make breakfast in the morning. And the biggest complaint is that it took me too long. But then she appreciated the fact that I did it. It sounds so ambiguous, but if I said because of that I won't do anything, it's still going to have an effect on me. So you need to break that barrier. Do what you can. Let your wife appreciate the fact that you are helping. Perhaps in the course of the conversation, yes, maybe you can be tutored how to do it right and do it well and do it fast. But don't be afraid to fail at what you're not doing. I didn't know how to plait hair, but I took it as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, it's not. Toby and I still talk about it in the morning. How there was a particular show she watched in the morning. That's on TBS. She couldn't pronounce it well, and I still remember how she couldn't pronounce the name of the show well. But that's because I get her ready. I go get ready, because you can. Because if you punish your wife by not helping, you're only punishing yourself.
Yeah, so, and I like how you said, don't wait to be assigned responsibilities. Sir, can we just put that somewhere in the cloud and say it louder for the men behind us, in front of us to hear? Oh my gosh.
You know, yeah, that's a very interesting
Agree or not?
question that Aduni raised. Well, I mean, I tried to help out.
Nobody else but how we raise that question anyway.
I mean, yeah, but it's funny how you also alluded to the fact that, you know, even when you take initiative and do stuff, right? Sometimes you feel like, you know, you're still criticized.
Are you talking generally or specifically?
The point is that there's so much work to be done that you never do enough.
Right.
So again, like I said, that doesn't mean that, you know, yeah, your mom still won't get upset over some things, because, you know, it's like she's trying to finish everything and she's not. So what are you going to do? But you see, it helps us to understand the fact that all it takes is effort for us to get through each day. Just get through a day, and next tomorrow you face it and do that. I don't know. I know she hasn't said anything yet. Hopefully.
Right, please.
Yes.
We're waiting your pearls of wisdom.
Yes, I just hope the breakfast making will continue now.
Well, I learned how to cook some burnt offering.
Sometimes the gender role is also what we, the ladies, bring on ourselves. We take on roles, but not because we want to, but because some of us got married in our late 20s, some in our early 30s now, as they are doing. You are so used to doing things on your own. You fix, you change the bulb, you fix the pipe, you do everything around the house. So when you get married, you are still doing that. You are still everything that back home the guys will be doing. You are adding it to what you are doing. Even yesterday, Toby and I were talking. And I was saying, oh, how come I said, oh, my sister-in-law got the recipe for a special deal that we do on Good Friday in our house growing up. My sisters are listening. Everybody made it yesterday. And we were all posting it to ourselves. So then my daughter asked, how come you gave it to your sister-in-law and not your brother, the recipe? Then I said, well, growing up in our house, my father did not allow the boys in the kitchen at all. I mean, they cannot be in the kitchen. But then I didn't envy what they were doing. They were always the one washing the car and scrubbing the floor, polishing the floor every Saturday. I said, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be washing laundry with my hands every Saturday. So we had our roles then. But I was telling Toby, it's just how it was at that time. And now my brother, he still doesn't get to that point where he can help his wife. But then the wife enjoys it. I didn't know. She enjoys it. She didn't even want him in the kitchen because probably it will slow her down or result in burnt offering. So sometimes these folks, we enjoy it, we take in more than we are supposed to. But like he said, you just need to ask to get. If you don't ask, you don't get.
I want to say something. So this is one of the biggest tensions we have sometimes, in the sense that you almost like you want them to read your mind, which you shouldn't let them read your mind. You should say what you want. But sometimes it's always, I like the times when he takes initiative and does something that I didn't have to tell him to do. But I'm also learning now to be a lazy wife. And I think it alludes to your point. Let me know if my theory is I'm in the right direction, given that, you know, you people are way ahead of us and you're still in this wonderful institution. In being a lazy wife is that I have to balance my needs and then my timing. So if I need something to get done and I know he can get it done, I just have to be patient enough for him to get it done when he gets to it. Mm-hmm. Now, I always say that he's so privileged in that he does some things that don't bother him around the house. I can be working from home, I see a speck of dust, I'm grabbing the mop, I'm mopping and cleaning everywhere. He doesn't really care about the little small things. Like, I see things to be fixed around the house. He doesn't see all of that. I have those magical powers. So I just leave the things that are obvious. I leave it for him to like if it's not bothering him, when it's bothering me, I'll leave it until it gets to a point where it's bothering him enough to fix it. But I have to be okay to know that the timing can be 2 hours later or 4 hours later. So I can't fight two battles of him not getting things done and him not getting things done when I want it to be done. Is that concept being a lazy wife? I'm just trying to let go. Like, you know what? If there are dishes in the sink and I feel like I shouldn't wash the dishes, he needs to wash it. I'll just leave it there. When it gets to a point when it's bothering him, after like 2 hours, I'm sure he's gonna get to it. Something like that. Am I being okay? Is this an okay in the marriage?
That's what I would call being introspective. That's what I was trying to, you've been introspective. Yes. Because and it goes both ways too. She talked about how her brother was not allowed to come into the kitchen, well, so he can cook. But I've been around him. I've seen him do things. He'll be the one. He keeps the house spiffy. Okay. So I think this whole thing, I said something earlier, learning to appreciate each other's strength matters a lot. Don't build so high expectation that you yourself cannot meet. See, this is where we make the mistake. You build an expectation that you cannot meet, so you put an albatross on your spouse rather than creating a congenial environment where you can thrive. This is what we need to cultivate more so than the things that need to be done. It becomes a task rather than having just a very vibrant environment. Sometimes things may look sloppy. That's fine. I tell her that as much as possible. If I'm around the house first, I try to make sure I don't present a too yucky an environment for her to come into, because she's going to complain. Even though I think it's not right, it's not fair. I would do the little I can. I want to minimize it. Just a little mitigation is all you can do. And if you learn to appreciate that, that's fine. But reading the mind, that's a gender issue right there. Every man will tell you that is an issue. So, and I've said this, God didn't give me the gift of being a man reader. I only reach out to you with what I have. Take that first. If you come back to me and say, honey, I need this done, the odds are that you will get it done very fast, because at that time you are telling me you need something done. It becomes a priority. But did you kick aside the little that I did? That's all. Because even you, look at what happens at work. They can get you to do more by appreciating the little that you've done. So let's start with that, and I think that will bring about peace.
I have many points. Okay, so the last statement you made, appreciating the little that you've done will make you do more. Someone I know would say, do you want the medal for that?
Here's why I talk about the medal.
Wait. Let me finish. So anyway, I don't need the medal, but sometimes I think just appreciating the little things actually makes you go an extra length. And then I remember growing up, I remember going to the kitchen and helping my mom pound yam and stuff, and even do the dishes. And my twin brother didn't probably like doing the dishes, but I was in the kitchen. I helped out more and stuff like that. So maybe that's why it's not nothing strange for me to do now. Maybe it made it easier for me to do that now. But I think and sometimes she does stuff, she does dishes, and then she's like, oh, I've been working all day, and I'm like, well done. But then when I do that, I don't get well done.
Because I feel like sometimes the impression is that the job, the dishwashing or anything is my task to do, and then when you help out, you're like, you're helping out.
Exactly.
But what is wrong? What is wrong in being complimentary? For one thing,
no, not complimentary. It's how I put it. We're in a different dispensation. America is like gender roles. There should be an obfuscation of that. We have an understanding. We both go to work. We do stuff. So when I do the dishes, not as if I want you to say thank you.
Thank you.
Exactly. For doing the dishes.
Well, yeah, okay, but here's
this fight with my hand.
Appreciation has to go both ways.
Yes,
Every time we labor in the kitchen, we want to hear well done too, or thank you.
Exactly.
Or the food tastes good. But the day that the food is salty or there's too much, that's why it looks like something is wrong with this stew today. So the appreciation should go both ways.
And that's fair enough. That's fair enough, because again too, I think what made any of us try is that little compliment. I'm trying to remember. There's a comment or a statement attributed to Mark Twain on this, but I can't quote it exactly. But he was alluding to the fact that just a little compliment, it just takes us a long way, and it does us good. So yeah, and let's not make it a quick quo pro type of thing. If you do it out of
is it a Russian one or which one?
oh, okay. Well, I was still being political, unfortunately.
So what
but anyway, you see,
race, quid pro quo, Russian, anything like that.
It helps to know. I think in all this, when we show that appreciation, what we are inviting is more of a sense of acceptance. You see, yeah, because there's one thing. There's some symbiotic relationship between accepting and receiving your spouse. Because if you can receive the person, if you don't accept the person, this is where you embrace the person. That's where you exude appreciation towards that person.
Yeah.
That it will be returned to you in manifold. Believe it or not, it will happen. Because we are all human beings. People at a point in time begin to think and know that somebody helps. I know some people that sometimes you see them just magnify one little bitty thing that their spouse did, and I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay, you don't even think about it, but it helps a lot.
I think to that, I think it comes down to also communication. And like someone alluded to, like the question was about love language affecting how we react at times. I think our love language goes a lot to play. Yeah. Like I know for me, when I do a lot of housework, I get just tired and I'm not even in the mood to be, lovey-dovey because I'm just exhausted. I think it's that point where you can probably utilize some of the love language patterns that I need. But I think it just boils down to communication and expectations and knowing that if we're all in a house together, we all have equal role. Maybe some no more equal than the other. Like for cooking now, I do enjoy cooking, so I would take that role. I wouldn't expect to cook all the time, something like that. But at least that we're both adults in the house, we should be able to chip in and maintain, like contribute to the day-to-day running and the maintenance of the house, period. Whether it's like flushing the toilet, putting toilet lid down, wiping I'm not trying to be specific here, and putting things away, things like that. I think it just goes a long way to be thoughtful about the other person.
But you have a type A personality, right?
Triple A, sir. Triple A. Mm-hmm.
You have a triple A. Hey, your mom here too. You have said some things that I'm like, okay, I know somebody like that, and there are people that have that too. Knowing yourself too. In the light of your relationship at home matters a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes because again, I used the word introspective earlier. I just didn't throw something out there. No, if you go back and reflect on those two, it will help you to say, I guess what is driving me here is who I am.
Yeah.
I cannot expect somebody to preempt him or herself to be me overnight.
Yeah.
Which will not help. You are fighting. Sometimes, even when you talk about this working, when you overwork yourself like that, don't forget to leave a little bit of gas for you to spend for things at home. You said something about being the lazy wife. There are times when you can just lazy. It's healthy. At an older age, that's been preached. But it's not something that one didn't know. We just refuse to slow down to smell the roses.
Yeah.
And when do we slow down to smell the roses? And it's also innate in us, especially the Nigerians, the Africans in diaspora. When we came here, one thing that we hit the ground doing was walk. Meanwhile, and when I say walk, it encompasses everything. It's walk as in school, walk as in home. We don't have that support. We want to be successful. We want to do good and all whatnot. So you go to work, you are dependent upon, and as a matter of fact, it's something they know about us that we are very dependable. Because for us, that work was an opportunity. It was not. It wasn't a luxury. It was a survival for us. So we have to do it. So you work very hard at work. You come home, you work very hard.
Yeah.
then you go to school
and then you
work very hard. So we're just encased in very high-powered work ethics. And for that reason, you find out that you are left with nothing for yourself. And we don't know how to relax. Even today, our children will still make fun of us. Oh, when you say you go on vacation, where do you go? You go home to see you go to Nigeria, right? You come back and you are not tired because you have to go and see Auntie BC. You have to go to and see Uncle Benga. You have to go see by the time you finish all these trips, you come back
vacation.
And so we really don't have the way to do that here. And we refuse to have to even sometimes staycation is important. You can take a vacation right in the house, but we don't do that. We're still going to load our schedule with different things we want to do. So we need to unlearn in order for us to have a very vibrant, home life.
Thank you, sir. I had some comments I want to just run through. So your daughter, Tosin, she's like, hello, it's your favorite child. I have always appreciated that you encouraged us girls to pursue interests and careers that we wanted and didn't force anything on us, which can often happen in Nigerian households. How did you guys find a way to accept and encourage your kids' pursuits, even if they weren't traditional Nigerian parent-approved careers, or you didn't really recognize or fully understand them?
Well, I think we have discussed this. I will say something. I'll defer to my wife. Let her pass. I will come back to that, please, Mom.
Well, I grew up in a family that really encouraged education. And it could be because our parents didn't know better at that time to push us into medicine or law or engineering. But I so appreciated it that I had the freedom to do what I wanted to do. And looking back, I say that God orchestrated and ordered my steps to where He wants me to be today. And as a parent, if I, as a Christian parent, trust the Lord to lead them, I mean, they have accepted the Lord, and I know that the steps of His righteous children are ordered by Him. Yes, we can advise. We can talk about different professions that are out there, different career opportunities, but the choice is theirs. And they will all tell you that I said, have you prayed about it? That is very important to me, that they pray about it. And my husband is really good at researching different careers and colleges and
really good at that.
Yes, and I mean, he guides them very well in that area. So, but it's not forcing them to do anything. Ultimately, the decision is yours. But we will guide you, we will pray for you, and we will allow you to do what you want to do. And Tosin especially really appreciates that because she has told us of friends that were forced into what they didn't want to do. Because we have had stories upon stories of children, of people we know, and some that we don't know, who ended up in what they don't want. There was even a very sad case of one child committing suicide because they wanted her to read medicine and she didn't want to. So one day she just left school, went home, and ended it up in her room. So, and I mean, no parent will hear that and still force your child to do what they don't want to do.
Right.
I mean, to that effect too, I always felt that I don't want my children to just follow a technical path and get stuck there. I want them to just believe that whether being the president, being a CEO or vice president, being an entrepreneur, being a researcher, whatever it is, that you can do it too. Otherwise, you pigeonhole them in certain area. And when people don't understand what they are doing, again, too, some of us are looking back and ask, there were things that two of my professors told me. I wish I understood what they meant. It goes back to where we started. I want to finish and go back. My first year, the professor encouraged me to do something that I wish I had done. I don't know where to have led me, but he didn't know me from Adam. And that was a time where I believe that even my enunciation of words was not the best. But then it's what he understood. See, they call it accent, but I know. But I kept phrase it that way. I know people like Adebo, but anyway. So I carefully put it that way intentionally anyway. But that's what happened. So I will encourage people to shoot for the best. And don't shortchange yourself. If you have the skill, by all means, utilize it. But don't ever think that this whole, we're all in this rat race, whether we like it or not. But I don't want it to be a me too. And I don't like to showcase my children to say simply because they went to a school or they did a particular degree and all that. It doesn't matter. The point is that if you went to school and you did well, you really work with what God has given you. That's all I'm asking of you, because the talent was given to you for a reason. I don't know where you end up. You could go to law school. You don't have to be a courtroom lawyer. But is the skill going to help you to get to places? I want our children to become influencers, to play very significant role in this society, wherever they go. Remember that back home, people are still, some companies in Nigeria today will pay some of their up-and-coming executives to go to some of these Ivy Leagues to go get MBA. There are more things to be done. Or if everybody's going to be an engineer and be a doctor, who's going to run who's going to run the business? Who will be the people in government? Who will be the people going to judgeship and different teaching and all that? But I found out later that there are people in teaching here who are traveling far better than people who even have doctorate degrees or have engineering degrees, because they're able to do things. You're a good example. You see, so there are more things you are doing to really just enable your career, to actually just do better as far as your earning potential, and that's outside just what they pay you for teaching. Yeah. That's the kind of mind I want people to have. I've told some of these young people around me, I said, you just potentially could be CEO, and some of them, you really believe that? I say, yes, why not? Because it's not just the school. One of my children, when she graduated, she vying for a job in a company that people that actually ace all their made 4.0, she had preference over people like that. And I like to have interaction. So I said, but why would that be the case? She told me what she did in her interview. She has to illustrate the case. It was a case story she was given in the interview, but it's how she expressed that impressed the recruiter. She went for another program where, on the spot, one of the big financial institutions, they started looking for her to grant her an interview, and she was shocked. She goes, I didn't bring my resume. They said, we don't care, because the way she improvised in that presentation. And that's the kind of thing I like to see in people. So, just do more than that. Otherwise, you can go into some of those technical fields. At a point in time, you hit a glass ceiling. And that's when you want to be significant, within your community or within your sphere of influence. So we never did that. It's what can you do? They said, one of them told me, as a matter of fact, Tracy was the one that told me, said that I'm going to be a janitor. I said, I tell you what.
Be the best janitor you can be.
I don't want to be a poor janitor. I said, be the best. I know janitors who started out that way. They owned the multi-story building they were cleaning, because they learned the skill, how to acquire that building, and they acquired more. That's the kind of thing that I want to see our children do. Let nobody tell you that you have some shortcoming, you are going to be limited to this point. That's where I disagree. So if you want to be a janitor, that's fine. By all means, go ahead and do that. You should be different from all the other janitors.
Yeah, I like what you said there, being the best at whatever it is you're doing, not necessarily be like the typical Nigerian parent that's like, oh, you must study medicine, you must study pharmacy, you must study engineering, you must study this. And personally, I've seen lots of, so a few of my colleagues, when we got into med school together, some of them were forced, to study medicine. And some of them, even right now, are not even practicing. Like, for example, one of our friends, Adebo, right? He's almost, I think he's almost getting his PhD. He's venturing out of, he's going into health outcomes research. He's not practicing clinical medicine. I know Uzo has gotten 2 master's degrees.
I know one that ended up being a producer, DJ. Yeah.
Right.
And he's doing quite well.
Yeah, so we have lots of people that were actually forced into the profession, but that wasn't really what they wanted to do. But fine, they got the doctorate, but they still focused on their passions and ran with that, and they're trying to be the best that they could be. Now, that being said, though, I remember when I was trying to get into college, many years ago, and my mom then, thank God, different events led to me going along this path, because I was just thinking about it that I don't think I would have really been successful at any other thing other than being a doctor. I didn't know what it meant like to be a doctor, and what I was going to expect and all that. But my mom probably saw that I had that caring side, and she was like, yeah, go study medicine, go study medicine. But I was torn at that point between chemical engineering and medicine. So I was like, I started researching, and she gave me the free will, or she pretty much, just like you said, your parents allowed you make the decision to go study that. I researched, and I just went in blind faith, I would say, but my mom kind of guided me to go study medicine, and I see why she did so, and I'm glad she did so, because I don't think I would have done anything else.
I think it also speaks to the role of parents. Like, there's one that someone gave me, and I think it's going to stay with me. So for those that have kids and are trying to help them guide their future, your job as a parent is, you don't own the child, you don't own their future. You're connected to a transcendent ethic. In our case, as Christians, we claim it to be God and Jesus, and we let that role, that supervisory role, and the inspiration and the intellect from God to guide us to help the children be who they want to be. So there's something my friend said, Charlie Bond, and I'm going to quote him directly. He said, if God had called you to be a ditch digger, any other thing you do, whether it be a doctor or a scientist, would be a step down. I think sometimes we place importance on certain level of jobs, of income and all of that. Whatever God has called you to do, and you should be doing it. Find out what your talents are. And as a parent, you can help your child develop that. Like in your case, your mom knew that you were quite caring, and they were able to, like, can you guys still hear us, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe you have network. I don't know. Everybody else can hear us apart from her. So I think your job as a parent is just to guide the child to be what God wants them to be. Now, you say your child has to be a doctor. That's your selfish reason right there. And my own parents, they never forced us to do anything we didn't want to do. So parents, listen to this. Don't put that. Help your child see what they can do, the potential they can be, and the impact they can make, in the world around them. That's just my 2 cents on that.
and while you do that too, if a child comes to you and say they want to do some program that looks a bit outlandish, don't fail to sit down and talk to the child. Because see, the way these young people, they go through stages where they're not sure of what they want to do. And sometimes they may find some things more as a cop-out that they hold on to. So you want to understand, you as a parent, your conversation with that child may help, may reorient them, 1, or 2, your interest may also give them some assurance that taking on something that is challenging is not an insurmountable stage. Experience that they're encountering, because they don't know if they do that, if they will succeed or not. Your assurance will help them to know that they can make it. But as long as you are not saying you must do this, you find out. Because like I tell some of them, I say, find out something about what you want to do and let's talk. You always have to be engaging. They may go back to what they wanted to do that it scares them. They may find out something new that they didn't know. rather than just coming to tell you that whatever. I don't want to mention some programs, but you don't want anything. They will go to school, graduate, and don't do anything with it. They may graduate with a degree, but if you learn to have critical thinking skills, that will help you. If you're analytical, you are critical thinking, you can fit into so many things that you don't necessarily, you're not using your degree. But the fact that you went to college has prepared you to go out there and do things. There are people who are in consulting and investment banking that didn't do anything in finance. There are people that actually did biology, maybe anthropology, or all kind of weird stuff. But what they're looking for is what you projected. They know if they put you on the job, they can train you. And if you choose not to follow and pursue that further, that's your choice. So go to school, be prepared. And that's the reason why graduating from university in this country, having some liberal art background is very helpful. We think it's not, it is extremely helpful. So go there and get prepared, but help them.
Thank you. But no, let's move on to the next questions. We have two more other questions that are big. If you can help us answer this in a few words, Omar. My senior colleague, Dr. Awad, wants to know, please share with us your experiences regarding financial savings, especially for children's future and future retirement as well.
You are
the financial
guru. That's quite interesting. That's something that's always in the news. You always learn to live below your means. In the course of life is so nebulous that sometimes you're going to hit a point in life where you face some serious financial challenges. How you prepare yourself today is what will help you weather the storm. Sometimes it may be a very long, arduous journey. Sometimes you get over the hump within a short time. But start from the beginning, do one thing. When we first started, it's so funny. I tell my wife that when she learned her ABC, when she got to S was for spending. So S for savings.
What?
Sounds familiar.
Oh, okay. Well,
and I save more now.
you see?
I plead the fifth. Don't touch
me. But the thing again is that I think the person who asked me, I suppose that if somebody who is married, and you will have that tension because the woman sees things from a different perspective. There are things she wants to do. You are slowing her down, but always remember that it's always for the good of the family. Yeah. Because if we had not fought our way through that stage, when we went through some troubled times, we would not have had anything to weather the storm. So learning to do that, I will give you a quick percentage. Some people will tell you, save 10% of what you make. If you are a believer, you practice any faith, you know you are going to give. At least you're giving about 10%. Leave off of that 80%. Change your taste or your standard of living to accommodate that. The more you save, the better it is. And if they offer you anything on the job, whether it's 401k, please by all means take it. But your savings is very important because those are things that will help you to respond to emergency situations. So your challenges, nobody can define, nobody can foretell that, but at least prepare yourself so when you get to that point, at least you can weather the storm so that you know what kind of adjustment to make. It is a combination of the husband and wife.
Thank you. So, just to recap that, talk to yourself, find out how much you make, try to live below your means and start saving as the least you can start saving now, at least 10% of your income. And whatever other benefits your job provides, like a 401k, take it and use that to your advantage as well.
And that don't look at what kind of house or car or things your friends are doing.
So difficult not to.
Well, it is. No, you are right. But you see, your time will come. If you learn how to plug diligently, it will come. I used to, when I first started in my business, I had a client who was a teacher all his life. He went into administration towards the latter part of it. He started as a classroom teacher. But you know what impressed me with him? I had a few people like that, but this particular guy is just an African-American, fellow, very gracious because his help was type that got people like me to establish my business. He had a rental property. That's one thing. He starts up. Two, at a point in time, when he retired, he bought cars. He paid cash for the car. And I have to say, and I don't want to mention his name. He's probably gone now. But anyway, I asked him, and that's what simply he said. He said that, learning to put a little away. It doesn't have to be big. That would change things. But he didn't worry about where his friends live. I have people who came into this country, when they met me, they were like, this was like, why haven't you bought a house? Well, my understanding of the real estate market, the dynamics of the city was totally different from theirs. I mean, by the time we bought our house, things were different. So don't just, because somebody did it doesn't mean that, you have to do the same thing. They had no clue what they were doing.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. And I think you're right. It just, as long as you and your spouse are on the same page, you're communicating, you're open about stuff, I think you can weather the storm. And for those that maybe don't have spouses, but they're in a situation where they're responsible for the well-being of somebody else, is think about your long-term goals and how do you want to achieve that. You might have to give up some things now to be able to get to where you need to be. So it's okay, take a pay cut or live in a not so fancy place, but at least you're saving up for the greater good. Anyways, we should be rounding off anytime soon. But I want to talk about two bigger things. One is the marriage aspect of it. So the marriage aspect, marriage.
Okay.
I just want almost like a comment, not a question. Is thank you so much for. I know when we first got married was the same time I moved to the US. And I ended up staying with you. And I know we used to call you a lot the first years of our marriage to serve as married counselors to help us. But one thing I really always tomorrow I always say is I really appreciate how open you guys were then, and I know you still are, about your struggles. And so because when you're newly married, you think at the point I thought this person here was my enemy. And I thought he was the worst person ever.
Say what?
And there was something you said, Mr. Adebo. You were like, I know I didn't even tell you that. You just figure it out. Probably you two went through that phase where the early stage of the marriage was kind of turbulent. You're like, he's not your enemy. There were so many things that I felt like if you had just said go pray about it, like most Christians might do, it wouldn't have helped us. But you're very practical in your wisdom. You listened. You didn't try to pick sides, even though I know Mr. Adebo will never pick my side. But I just want to say thank you for, I think, being good role models. Because when I think about our marriage coming this far, your words of wisdom is always ringing at the back of my mind. And that's, try to understand the person you've married. You picked him for a reason. Try to understand him. And I don't think we'll have made it this far. I just wanted to say, do you have anything to say to that? Instead of you being all childish.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember those first 2 years were really, really rough. And, thank you so much for playing a very, very vital role in our marriage then, with your words of wisdom and
your practical ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess those tips really helped, make me, learn that it's good to work together as one, as a team, not leaving one person to do all the work and helping out and doing shared roles and responsibilities and taking initiatives and all that stuff, so all those things kind of help.
Yeah, and I think it's also because I know that you guys do them. It's not just you're just saying them. You do them. You're a living example of some of the tips you give. So just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. It's an honor, and for you to open up and be vulnerable, that's not an easy thing. And you also had learning hearts. You wanted to learn from the older ones. You wanted the wisdom of the older ones. And I don't mean to discourage you in any way or to give you bad news. There's still going to be struggles.
Oh yeah, we know that.
Even at 31 years in the journey, we still have a struggle.
Especially with Mr. Adisa, I can imagine. My daughter prayers with you, mommy. I always pray for you, always, always.
But God's grace is always more than sufficient. So the Lord who brought you together will keep you on as long as you walk with Him.
Thank you.
And remember that it's also a commitment. There are times when you don't even feel the love. I mean, in your bones, you don't feel it at all.
In your bones, really? Really?
But
there's no ounce of love left.
Wow.
But you know that you are committed to pleasing the Lord. So,
I guess I'll have to go find some love movie to watch tonight. That's not what they show. Where you got that from? And if I knew this is how you were going to end up insulting me so badly, at least I would have asked you to give me some pre-interview, some thought about that. But since you decided to just insult me like this, I will accept it.
Far be it from my lips to rain insults on you. I would never.
Yeah, well, that's okay. And I'll tell you what, this is what I missed. If I'd had any premonition of this, I would have sent you an invoice.
It's not too late.
I would have sent you an invoice, perhaps enough for me to earn some kind of what would that be? Would that be like a honorarium to buy French fries?
I don't know. You're the financial guru. Let me know.
Yeah, just something to go buy. Some the drive-through French fries. But on a serious note, I appreciate that because I always liken this to this. It does not matter how good a cook you are. It does not matter how good a cook you are. If there's nobody to taste the food, to enjoy it, to appreciate it, it doesn't amount to anything. The best chefs you hear complimented and with all their acclaim was because people tasted their food, they appreciated it. I said something earlier. Yeah, but you may say that if I accepted your spouse or your partner, but did you even receive the person? You have to embrace the person. What was offered wouldn't have meant anything. That's why I kind of gave this preamble. If you guys didn't appreciate it, didn't accept it, didn't embrace it, that's where it matters. Because it's true, it takes a village to raise a child. If you can do it all by yourself, people like Einstein wouldn't have accomplished what he did. It was somebody that helped him at a point in time where he needed a help. Sometimes your help is offered. Sometimes you pursue it, you look for it, for you to move on to a better life. I remember when you guys were leaving, that's what I told two of you. I was standing right here behind me. I said, your life is going to change very dramatically. That is all solicited, but you came into our lives, and the least we can do is to reach out to you. Because if we didn't do that, you wouldn't come back. I didn't believe anybody that comes in this house, as you all know. Thank God, by the grace of God, thank God for my wife, is that we take you as a family. Now, if you don't want and you push back, it's okay. But what we extend to you is what we have from the heart. I tell people, and we have people that live there say, I may not have the money to give you, but I can assure you one thing. We will be there if you open up, because nothing will be that in life. And we know it. We went through, it was through friends and people that cared for us that helped us to get to where we are. The same thing is, the least, that's all. If I give you that and you make use of it, fine. We can walk through it. You don't have to agree with me. But you reflect on it and see what you can do with it. Because when you guys were leaving, I said, your program is going to challenge you. See, like you said, some of the challenges you went through was the monster is what was happening at school, at work. You needed to get over that. And incidentally, I've had friends that have really gone into that deep discussion with me. Some of them were like, you know what? They didn't even care. It was like, because they felt threatened that what they were doing was just came here to do was going to be derailed, but they got over that. And who was taking the brunt of it? The spouse at home.
Yeah.
And we have gone through that. And I'm asking is that please pass it on to somebody, find somebody and put them under your wing and help them through.
We're trying. And I just say that, okay, here's how I met the Adebos. I got into UT Austin, got my visa, everything. I was flying from Lagos to Austin, and then somewhere, wherever I was, whatever international waters my plane was roaming on, my accommodation plans fell through. And so Stephanie Crouch, who was my graduate coordinator, she was kind of at loss as to what to do for me because she lived so far away, like an hour and a half away from Austin, and she was someone that wake up every day like 4 o'clock in the morning to get to school. So she knew I couldn't stay with her. So she knew of somebody called Mickey who used to be, I think, your neighbor, or maybe her daughter was your neighbor. They just knew a Nigerian.
If Imbagu Funtos,
okay.
If she was also an undergraduate pharmacist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if he was, we know if his parents, she's just like a child too to us.
Okay.
She was that called me that morning.
Wow.
And told me, and I thought you were going to be here in about a couple of weeks or thereabout.
No.
You were somewhere between the Atlantic Ocean
somewhere
and the territory of the US.
I told them to send the plane back. So, anyways, they called Mr. Adebo. He said yes without checking in with mommy, by the way. And I'm saying this to bring something out. And so Stephanie comes to pick me up at the airport. We go to Mr. Adebo's office. My boxes are there, and then he was like, "Okay, give me a few minutes. We're gonna take you home." And I think that's why he called mommy to be like, "There's a student here." And oh my gosh, and mommy just being the person she was. I mean, when I got home, I didn't even know that all the things they had to like prepare was so last minute. I remember that meal I had. It was jollof rice and apple juice, and it's still one of my favorite memories of entering Nigeria because it was so good. I was so hungry, number one, and I was so tired. But you took me in, and then you showed me my room upstairs, and I was just thinking, I don't know these people. Like, I know they're Nigerians. I know there's that cultural sameness, but I kept to myself a lot. But I was on something you said one day. You called me down. You're like, "Mom is angry with you. Like, we need to talk." And I was like, "Hey, Kim Michelle." And I think you said something to me that you can only be a stranger to a degree you want to be a stranger. And something along that line. And that word stayed with me. And I remember just snapping out of it. In that you wanted me to be open. You wanted me to just, be free around. But I was just, because I wasn't sure who you were. I wasn't, the Nigerian factor. I hope I won't pay for this later. But your heart, like, it's something that always, when I see international students, and we're also getting involved in international students, or even people that we can help, is we try to replicate that because it showed us the way. People talk about Nigerians like being funny in the US, but I'm like, have you guys met the Adebos? Have you guys met the Adebos? I mean, we go to their house for Thanksgiving, we eat their jollof rice and their moi moi, and if you have problems, you call them. I feel like there are many Adebos out there people don't really talk about, and I wanted to change that narrative. Like, Nigerians or even people can be good. It's just giving yourself that opportunity to enjoy that goodness, and also giving people the opportunity to bless your life. So that's what I wanted to just say. That thank you so much for being that originator from, because the way you've influenced my life is the way I try to live my life right now with the community. Like, we're giving back. We're finding ways to help us. A student was stranded last month. Despite the coronavirus, we brought her in, and she was eventually able to go back to her home of Korea, because you taught us something like that. It's been whatever we have to use as stewards of Christ, to give it back, to find a way to like share what we have with other people. So thanks for showing me that, because if I didn't meet someone like you and all of the tips you poured into our life, like even the frustrations you had in America, you didn't make it like our reality. Like, you always had the way of just telling us, okay, you can encounter this challenge, but don't give up. Like, and I know that that's very important, because when people tell you about their struggle stories, they make it seem like, if I've struggled, then you have to struggle as well. So anyway, all of that to say thank you so much. And it's one story I always love to tell. Thanks for taking us in, especially me, Daddy. Thank you. I know I'm not always easy, but just thank you. Thanks for your heart. And I know you're still very much involved in the international community, even the students in Austin. they still come to your house for Thanksgiving. There's a tradition you guys have been doing for many, many years. And you open your heart and your house and everything you have. I mean, that's amazing. You don't have to do that, but you keep doing that. So I just wanted to say that out there. Thank you, and God bless you so much.
Yeah, thank you so,
Well,
so very much.
and we appreciate your compliment. That's very generous of you. My only problem is that you became a sooner. I just can't, and then you turn your
Daddy,
husband
this
into
is gotta eat.
that is, I'm like, I don't know. They say what starts here changes the world.
Yes.
I thought what was starting here would change the world differently. You became an you became an wife.
He sounded better.
And you decide to stay put in Oklahoma. As big as Texas is, with all the opportunities, but forgiveness is always, like I tell people, forgiveness offered before it's asked of you. So what choice do I have?
And Alani, it's really an honor to meet you. I don't know how many students we've got to know through you, or through people that we know through people that know you. It's just amazing how many people we have come to know and appreciate and love because of you. And Taiwo, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess can you just, maybe for those that are in a position of power, can you just encourage them on how they can also help to be like the Adebos wherever they may be, and just some of the blessings you've gotten from it, and why you keep doing the things you do with students?
Again, I said this jokingly that, well, here you go now, your compliment, in a kidding way, I said that an insult, but we're very humble. And I think I can say that I don't have to see my wife's mind. It's a privilege for us to, because sometimes if you look at it, it's like one new. I told Funto one time, I said, look at your name. One of the reasons why we have to learn to release you back, I said, you are a gift from God for us to nurture. Who we are, what we have, is a gift from God to bless others. And I don't know of anybody who truly, they say some people are self-made, or is a self-made millionaire. If you go back and dig deep into their story, somebody gave them their shoulder to step on, to go to the next level, or they hung on to somebody's coattail. We are all here because of people that reached out to us. My wife will tell you stories when she first came here, as she literally was crying, was like, what am I getting myself into? But people reached out to her. I benefited from the same thing too. Friends that at least, reach out to me. It didn't matter, but I will say this, please don't ever believe Nigerians are bad that way. But there are many, many people out there who are helping. There's a guy who back home now is a minister, is a commissioner in the state. This commissioner stayed with this friend of mine when he was doing some graduate, I think he was doing fellowship, stayed in his house. And when people see stories like that, it touches their heart that at a point in time, they reach out to somebody. Nigerians will help you. We are so blessed that we have never one time had anybody do us anything bad because we open our house to them. So, and I say this, you say people who are in power, always remember this, that it is more blessed to light a candle than to cross darkness. Reach out to people, because someday that person will reach out to somebody else. This is what makes good things to go around in this world.
Mm-hmm.
You're not an island. There's nothing you've accomplished that make you so important that cutting people off will make your stature better. None. So do what is right, do what is good. Because you didn't get where you are without somebody helping you. Even if it's only your dad that helped you, somebody helped your dad for him to be able to help you.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even know how to top that. Wise words.
My experience is like Tolani's too. Now you are replicating what you have received. When I came to the US, I happened to have an advisor who was a Greek student before he became a professor. at Michigan State. So he knew the experiences of international students. And then he will invite us, his students, to his house at Thanksgiving time. And I mean, being the Nigerian child that I was, you have to help the elderly, the mothers in your life. So I would step into the kitchen and help his wife, even though he would say, no, you don't have to. I said, no, I can't sit down and let you do all this. So I was learning how she was doing the talking, the dressing, and all the typical Thanksgiving meals.
Oh, yeah.
And I would go back to campus and was telling my friends, and they're like, oh, really? I mean, you could see the envy, not that they were jealous, but
Yeah,
they
but
were to experience such a thing. And I knew how much it meant to them to have such an experience. And I decided, okay, Lord, I am going to replicate this. And that's what I've been doing. And now you are doing it. So wherever the opportunity presents itself, let us do good to all men. That's what the scripture says. And one of my favorites is, do not forget to do good and share with others. For with such sacrifices, God is pleased. That's Hebrews 3:16. And that is what? Any good that we can do, let's do it. Whether you are in power in the local government or at the White House, wherever the Lord places you, do good to all men.
I agree. Thank you so much. And I miss your jollof rice, by the way, and your moi moi. I have not still been able to replicate it. Our Thanksgiving has never been the same again, but we do wish you the very best in just the many ways you keep blessing international students. Um, just some final questions for you will be on marriage. Someone had a question is, so you've been married for more than 30 years now. What would you say is your secret to having such a rich, long, happy marriage?
I think I pretty much nailed it earlier. Mine is commitment. Commitment. You know that you are committed to this. It's a vow that we have made together. And our God is a covenant-keeping God, and He expects us to keep this covenant too. There have been many ups and downs, like I said, and there will be more still, because we are still on this planet Earth, so there will be more. But I am committed to it, and that's what drives me and keeps me in it. And of course, the joy.
The joy. What joy with Mr. Joy? Oh, you mean from the Holy Spirit? Oh yes, that's joy. Because I'm like, Mr. Adebo Joy.
And the grace.
I think the thing that the cycle that marriage goes through is that it starts out as a good deal. You get to a point, it becomes an ordeal.
I need to put that down.
You see, it's a good deal, but somehow it's like you're inebriated, and when it wears off, then it's like really somebody who probably went been drinking and wake up in the morning and found out all the ugly things that they did. Now you start thinking and trying to figure out. You wish you hadn't done all those things. So the ordeal of all the mental anguish you go through. Then ultimately, sometimes we think that going to find a new deal is what to solve the problem, but it becomes a vicious cycle. It's sometimes you go through that even without necessarily leaving the relationship. And I said this, I will have preceded what I'm saying by saying that treasure your spouse. But when you go through this cycle, you come to realize that until and unless you learn to treasure what you have, you are going to go through this turmoil. It becomes self-imposed. It's never going to be, because even naturally we go through that every month you go through a point in time where things just don't seem to be right. It's like you don't even know if you like yourself. But then you settle down and go, then you can look in the mirror and say, you know what? No, I'm good. God made somebody good. God made something good here. So you have to learn to appreciate that. Again, I said something earlier, until it's one thing to say you receive somebody into your life, but did you even accept the person?
Or embrace them, right? Like you said earlier on.
You have to embrace them. I know that we have a very broad audience, but I'm going to say one thing in my language here. How many Ushiparo?
I thought it was a Ghanaian language. Sorry. Go ahead, sir.
How many Ushiparo? Because what is yours is yours. You can never look at because you say that your child has gone wayward or whatever the odds may yield or the evil things they might have done. You can't say because of that now, I want to now go and trade my child for somebody else because I think that person's child. That person will tell you, say, no, I'll keep mine as it is. And nobody's going to accept that burden. So learn to make the most of what you have. But if you think something is bad in the other person, have you been introspective enough to say, does this person see anything wrong in me? And this is where we have to level up. She used the word commitment earlier.
Yeah.
Are you committed to the vows that you took? You see, and this is where that's one big problem too. We do all those things. I think we do that exchange, but we never even spend time to reflect on it. You go to school, you learn all those things. Even after years of experience, you still go back for what? Some kind of refreshers course, some continuing education. Some you have to maintain in order for you to maintain. You have to keep doing in order to maintain your license. But I tell you what, I wish we would do that too. And I think in the course of me, since you kind of touched on that area, I'm not delving into anything other than simply one of the things that I told you is that how many times have you really thought through the exchanges you had with him, what you said to him, what he said to you? These days, young people write their own even vows and promises. Have you gone back to look at it? You made a promise before God, before man. Before you did that. I tell people, what is the reason why we call people to come and dance with us, eat rice and drink and jump up and down? You are saying something very big. You are telling them that you're going to do this. You said for better, we say for life is what we said. And it's sad that sometimes it's easy for you to kick that to the curb. Anybody goes through that. We are not immune to it. You can, yeah, because you can get so many, all kind of ugly things will happen. And you just want to just jettison everything you've committed to do. But if you do that, for one, you lied to your friends. Above all, you lied to God. Let's remember that. Some of us pray that when we in our prayer, we thank God so much for giving us this wonderful, handsome-looking guy. Right?
Are you trying to, sir? Even with adjectives,
suddenly he looks so ugly. Everything about him looks so ugly. Now you just want to. So you're talking about getting new deal. Those were not things I just threw around carelessly. Then you want that, but then you find out that, you know what? It's a vicious cycle. You're going to go through the same thing. Doesn't matter with whom. So is this, I made a promise to you, Taiwo, Tolani, Dunia, and everybody else that came to the wedding. Can I honor my word? I made a promise to my wife. Can I honor that word? That's part of the integrity. I made a promise to God, and I said, God, if you give me this girl here who looks so cute, I'll be good to her.
Honor her, yeah.
When you treat her shabbily, what are you doing? You see, we don't see God and we forget that what we said to him is big. The blessing we ask him to give us is important. Some people are looking, they can't find the same thing that you have that you are treating charitably.
Thank you. And the final point to be, I know I think if I remember correctly, you got married a little bit later than your peers were getting married. And I remember you had told me that you guys didn't even know that you were so close as far as proximity. Your house and his house were like 20 minutes walking distance. And then you left, given that proximity in Nigeria, you guys, went to different parts. He was in Texas, you were in Michigan, but God had a way of just bringing you guys together. And I don't want to imagine what Mr. Adebo was like when he was younger, but I don't want to even imagine, you know.
I think she tricked me.
Oh, you tricked her then. I think that would be her line. But I'm just thinking of that. Your desire is to get married or have a spouse someday. It's a good desire. Don't let age or cultural, societal pressure put you into rushing to make a decision. I mean, they found themselves despite being, where they are. God brought them together. In due time, He's gonna do that for you if that's your desire.
Man.
Yeah. Anyways, any final thoughts? I'm done with my questions. I wish I could keep you guys longer, but it's been almost 2 hours, and I could keep talking to you over and over again because I really do enjoy talking to you guys. But I don't know if you had any final thoughts or comments before I wrap up the show.
I just want to say that we are so proud of you and Taiwo. I'm telling you. Yes, we had you in our house, but little did we know that, you're going to blossom and bloom, and we are so proud of you. I was watching I believe it was your last podcast before this, maybe not, with Ayomide.
Okay, yeah.
And I felt like a proud mama. Because I know you, from another angle. And I knew Ayomide too. Yes, Ayomide is my son.
Yeah.
Mom and I were roommates. Roommates at Michigan State. So Ayomide came, the dad brought him and the little brother when he was 3 and the brother was 2. So this is somebody that I know very well, and you, and I'm like, oh Lord, this is yes, he came also later, but that was the first time I met him, and I was so proud, and I am so proud of you. Thank you for making us look good.
You're always good, man.
Awesome.
You're always awesome. Yes, that was words. You're awesome. Yes.
Yes, and it is such an honor to be a part of this, of what the Lord is doing through you. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll skip the Ghanaian.
Okay, don't worry. Don't worry. Well, anyway, I guess it's truly, anytime you meet people and they keep making progress in life, it's not the degree that you've acquired, it's not even the position you have, but the fact that you turn out to be good people and you still strive to do better in life. That's just a big blessing, because you could have been anything. Like I told Tosin, if you want to be a janitor, be the best. You could have been anything, but who you as a person being. I heard this terminology when I first got. They say you say good people. It's kind of colloquial around here, and that matters, because that's a worth of a man's measure, heart, or So that these are things that make people. Sometimes some people don't. They watch to see what kind of person you are before they embrace you more. And the people call that trust, and there are all kind of angle to explain that, to illustrate that. And that's really the key, because my joy is that people that know you, people that have encounter with you, will have a good experience.
Yeah.
And that's great, because we've had all kind of negative things in our community about, they say don't do anything in Nigeria. And I tell people, I say, who are your friends? Who are you hanging out with? And this is the kind of thing that will make me feel very proud. And I think we have touched on this several times along the course of this podcast. And that's to tell people out there, we hear all kind of negative things. And I said, no, it is not true. I don't know the kind of Nigerians you know. It does not mean that people are not into nefarious things. And to that too, I will kind of segue into this and say, let's be proud of ourselves, who God has made us. See, God did not make a mistake. It's not me, but God knew so much that He made me Nigerian.
You mean Ghanaian, sir?
Well, yes, a Ghanaian. So
yeah.
then eventually,
American,
and then eventually see. So it's easy for you to say because of what people say or because of what kind of things you heard. But well, all it takes is for just one rotten apple to affect the others. That doesn't mean that all the apples in that cart
Yeah,
is not
bad. Yeah.
so let's take pride in ourselves. This is what I want. We are highly accomplished. Let's look at that and say, hey, thank God for where God knew. If God didn't care for me, He won't put me there. He won't make me a Nigerian. So I'm very proud of it, and I receive that with joy and gratitude.
I like that. On that note, we're going to end the show. Let us take pride in ourselves as Nigerians, and wherever you're from, but particularly if you're Nigerian. Thank you so much. I do appreciate your time on the show. Thanks for all the tips and the stagey wisdoms you've passed to us on marriage, on giving back, on being better stewards, on raising kids, and helping them be who God wants them to be, and just nationality and pride of being Nigerian and all of that. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate your time. Do you have any final words?
Yeah, I think it's been a really, really, really good opportunity to see you guys again. I don't think I've seen you guys since. Oh, we saw last year actually at my graduation. That's true. So okay.
But
we still owe you guys a visit.
Oh yeah. It's okay. we're thinking that we're coming for we're supposed to come for Easter. Was it Easter or Thanksgiving? But then we'll make sure we see this year.
Okay.
We'll find a way.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for all your words of wisdom and all.
Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone who sent in questions. Funta, Tosin, Inka, and then I think one of your sisters, Mrs. Annie Ogun.
That's my sister.
Yeah. Put her from last time. She wanted to know if you fixed the wardrobe, sir. I guess not.
If what?
If I do what?
If you fix the wardrobe. She asked if you fix the wardrobe.
If I fix the wardrobe.
Yeah.
He's still taking his time.
No, not yet.
Oh, that's the one in Funta's room.
No, not yet.
Which wardrobe?
Who sent her to go and buy a part for you in London?
Oh,
she bought the part 2 years ago. It's
yet to be.
It's long.
It's so she's the first of my sisters that I met, and we've hit it off ever since then.
You have not
there's a reason behind it. I've worked on it, but the part wouldn't stay in there as designed because it needs to be doctored, and I don't have the skill to do that. And that's the reason. So you see, she's my beloved little sister, but that's what happened. You know how one little sister always give their big brothers hard time. So it's a family thing.
To love in our way.
It's a family thing. So you intentionally kept that question
for the last.
I don't know. I mean, I saw it there, but the Holy Spirit just reminded me. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go for it. Anyways, this was a more simple podcast, by the way, guys. I try to bring people that I'm amazed with, people who have influenced, our journey. So if you love this, let me know in the comment section. Check out the website www.mosibyl.com. There's plenty more where this came from, and I appreciate you guys, being together with us today for all the questions and the good laughs and all of that. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, man. Stay safe.
God bless you. Love you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.